What's up, everybody? Welcome to Put It on the Table. It's been a while since you've seen us, but we are back. To my left, I got T. Jones. To my right, I got Low. And holding down the end, I got Khalid. And of course, I'm Barbie. We were bros. We just sitting around chatting all the time. And, we're older now, and we think back in the day when we was coming up and, how our parents and stuff, and basically in our culture, we always get conversations about, going to get higher education and going to school, getting a degree and getting a job. And then, what was the conversation about starting a business? What about having a trade? What about, going out on your own and being able to, do things and have something for yourself and being able to establish that things for generational stuff, like some of the other cultures did. We was always taught to get jobs, and then we ended up working for somebody else for 30 years when the average lifespan ended up being like 72 to 80 years. You work 30, you're 20-something when you graduate college, and then, by the time you retire, you got a few years left, and then you croak.
Exactly.
So,
but you kind of summing up my life.
It's over. We put it on the table.
Right. I'm saying 30. Yeah, I got 30 years in corporate, and I don't know how much time I got left on this earth, but I've given a lot of my life away. And I won't say given away because, let's be honest, it's afforded me a lifestyle that I've been accustomed to. But how would our lives have been different if we would have been taught about the importance of generational wealth and things like that? I am a business owner as well, so I had the best of both worlds. But you're right. I think for us growing up in our households, we were taught go to school, and if you're not gonna go to school, go get a job,
go to the military.
Or
go to the military.
Go to the military. So what was in your household?
It was just higher education. Go to school. One of my siblings went to the military. Didn't want to go that route. So I went to school. But the key point is, even today, right now, it's still being perpetuated in the black community. I was at Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson Airport a few days ago. Spring break. I saw a group of 100 black children from Compton, California, doing a spring break tour of the black colleges in Atlanta.
HBU spring break.
HBUC, right, the spring break tour. And I'm like, wow, what do we go into tech? Tech is what's hot right now. How do we send these kids into tech? How do we send them into generational wealth? Starting their own business.
Right.
So we're still perpetuating that. Go to college for 4 years, work, and then retire. So, when do we break that cycle? Because our counterparts, the Europeans, have definitely soared head and shoulders above us when it comes to generational wealth and starting businesses.
Yeah, and that's how they continuously have that foothold ahead of us, where they keep on telling us you pull yourself up by your bootstraps. When we ain't got no boots, it's hard to do that. You know what I'm saying? But they got boots and second pair of boots and the third pair of boots, and we ain't got no boots or the straps to pull them up. And they start their kids out in the business. And I remember growing up as kids and going into neighborhood stores and all that kind of stuff, and you will always see their kids working in these stores. And I was never putting this stuff together at that time. You understand what I'm saying? But them kids was at that time was learning the business.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't getting that. I don't know. What you think, T?
Man, so this is intriguing. We picked this topic today because my old man worked in the steel mill, my stepdad, and my brother worked in the steel mill with him. And I remember him coming home one day pissed off. And he told me, "You going to work with me tomorrow?" And I used to run the overhead crane with the coils on it. My brother was a slitter, and all the guys was like 10, 12 slitting machines down there. He said, "When that buzzard ring, you bring, excuse my language, he said, bring your ass up here and stand next to me." And so the bell rang. I looked at my brother. I said, "Man, what you mad about?" He said, "Shut him, go to sleep, little punk." And I'm like, "Man, what are you mad at me for? I ain't did nothing." Normally when I got in trouble, that's where I went. I went to work with him.
Right.
So I went to work, and we had the coil. The buzzer went off. I did what he told me to do. I stood next to him. He said, "Let me tell you something. These stupid MFers, they about to turn around and they let these Japanese people come in here and take pictures of all this machinery. These Japanese and Chinese come in and take pictures of all this machinery. He said, will not be a steel business when you get 30 in your 30s. So you got to go to school. And that's what was preached. You have to go to college.
Right.
And therefore, and at that time, I also ran my own business as a kid. I had a blacktop business. They used to call me Picasso. I used to do blacktops, DIY, and get a whole pallet and pick people out in Shaker and do their driveways and get paid like $95. So I had kind of the best of both worlds, but I already knew that I wanted to go into sports. That's what I knew I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to be an engineer, if I wanted to play tiddlywinks in college. I just knew I just wanted to go. But then you leave that and fast forward to my life today, and not long ago, working for a Fortune 500 company, get fired.
Okay. And
what am I going to do? So therefore, somebody told me, said, man, go get your LLC. LLC? What is that? And now I can say today, I wish I had went and got a trade. The kid next door to me, he graduated from high school. His parents thought he was going to college. He said, no, I'm going to HVAC school. His mother just told me this morning he has a job. Not only does he have a job, but him and his boy got the same job, and they're going and they just filed for LLC. So we got to start preaching this thing. I know somebody who got their 12-year-old kid at LLC. We got to start preaching about owning our own, because the truth of the matter is, in this country, 450 years of us giving up labor, we built this. Ain't no question about who built it. And they've taken everything from us and capitalized off of it. Now they're trying to do what? Put us back in that position. Sit in your place, boy. And I refuse to. With 3 LLCs, I refuse to. Somebody said, when you gonna retire? I ain't. I like my lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of what we do in life, y'all, are driven by whatever lifestyle you want to have, right?
Absolutely.
So for me, education was always big in my household. My oldest daughters, they both have their masters. My youngest daughter, she's still trying to figure things out. But her generation, they don't want to work for other people. Well, they don't want to work, period. That's another story. That's another topic to put on the table. But it's like
there was a point in time where I didn't want to work either, bro.
Well, but education to them, they're seeing that, you go to college for 4 years, possibly 8 years, and you've accrued, $150,000
in debt.
To not even go into a field that you went to school for, because there's no opportunities there. You know what I'm saying? So I actually took a different route. My background is IT, so I did a lot of certifications, and then quite naturally through theological things, I have my degree there. But that, to me, that was more strategic, because the certification route didn't cost that much money, but the return on the investment was a whole lot greater. So I don't have student loan debt. You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, I'm old now, but you know what I'm saying? and I shouldn't have any. But like I said, we have to teach our kids, how to be strategic, how to make those decisions that's going to, get you a greater return on your investment. Yep. And I think we have to also teach them it's okay to fail. That's one of the things that we were not taught in our households, that if you fail, it's okay. One of the things I learned in corporate was a class called failure management. And what we learned in that course was how to successfully fail. As oxymoronic as that may sound, we learned how to successfully fail.
I'm going to say this on that. If you ask 100 successful people, where did they achieve their greatest accomplishment, they'll tell you their greatest failure.
Exactly.
And that's something you got to be willing to do. I heard Steve Harvey say one day something about jumping with no parachute.
Okay.
And I said, man, I done played against the best of the best. And the funny thing is, growing up as a kid, we were poor, but you wouldn't know it from looking at me.
Okay.
You wouldn't know it from looking, because we was dressed to the nines every day, because we had a representation of respect for our mother, that when we left the house, we looked like her.
Yeah.
We looked like the old man.
Right.
And so therefore, my failures became my success.
Right.
Being fired became my success, because I didn't pout. My son, I had a kid, 3 kids at the time to take care of. And my son said, man, Dad, you the best cook I know.
Right.
You the best trainer I know. I went and got my certification. My boy I used to train with the U.S. bobsledding team, I called him. He said, Terry, man, I'm going to send you the test, You already know how to do the workout. Took me a week to study this stuff. I went and got my personal training license. I went and got 4 fryers from Home Depot. 2 I put water in, 2 I put grease in. I did 3 at Befferette, 3 weddings in one day at Befferette, and came out on top with about $52,000. And my son looked at me when I gave him that money, and my other son looked at me and said, "Dad," I said, "Man, go enjoy yourselves." They ain't worked for me since. They thought they had to come up. Right. But what I'm saying is this. They understood that Dad did this in a short amount of time. Just think what he can do. And I said, what he can do, what we can do.
Right.
And you know, so therefore, I'm saying to this, trial and error is a great thing.
Exactly.
The best teacher in the world is the school of hard knocks, being knocked on your ass, and then having to pull yourself up by your own bootstrap. I went to my family and tried to get a loan. My oldest brother said, "I ain't giving you shit."
Okay.
I said, "What?" He said, "Man, you always been a hustler."
Okay.
He said, "But once people see that you're doing something, somebody gonna give you what you want.
Yeah.
So I just got busy. I worked on self.
Yeah.
Remember, we talk about working on self. And that's the best thing I do. I said, I'm not going back to a 9 to 5.
Okay.
You can work a 9 to 5 and make a living, but if you work on yourself, you'll make a fortune.
Right.
Yeah.
It's some principles, bro.
I've been afforded the opportunity to kind of change the game in my life from my experiences growing up and as a young adult, the mistakes that I made. So now I've been able to flip those mistakes into helping other individuals to keep from making those mistakes. So I'm giving back to the community that I came from, because the mistakes that I made, I see that if I can steer one person from making that mistake, they will become successful. And it's like I use my experience, strength, and hope to gain my wealth these days. So the things that I've experienced in the streets, inside of penal institutions, inside of some of the great ghettos of America, because I've been all over this United States in many different ghettos. And the experience that I've won from those streets and inside of those penal institutions, man, it's priceless. It's priceless, because now I'm able to change the game and help others avoid those struggles and conquer those fears that they have being out here. So, man, who would have thought that a guy like me would be able to sit here and say, "Nah, this is how I earn my wealth," but giving back.
And that's what I was gonna say. But that's what's right. That's where it's at. Because how can somebody who ain't been there teach somebody who's there? You know what I'm saying? Right. You can't teach that.
You can't teach these experiences to somebody who has not been there, or experienced it, or witnessed it.
Exactly.
But one of the things you shared with me, so man, you all of us been friends since we were kids. You shared with me how your dad taught y'all principles as young men in business, right? And so you was able to take what he taught you and just make them transferable.
Make it transferable. Right. I mean, you know, my dad wasn't the Republic Steel worker. My dad wasn't the Ford Motor Company worker. You know, my dad afforded us a lifestyle doing things that we will still never know what he did. You know what I'm saying? But one thing he did do, he did work a job. And even with this job, we were able to watch him finesse, as they call it today. He was able to finesse people out of money and get paid for it legally. So I've always been able to have that gift where if there was something that I saw, I was able to get it just by talking to an individual saying, "Hey, well, how about you put me on board with this?" Because I saw my dad do it. You know? And those are the principles that were set forth in my household when I saw my dad do it. But like he said, you know, I've been able to flip that into a positive. You know, into a positive. You know, now I can say, man, the road that I traveled, man, I would not change it. I would not go back and change anything that happened in my life. I would not go back and change it. I wouldn't want to change it because I've learned so much from it. And it makes me the man that I am today, a man of integrity. It makes me who I am today.
And that means more than anything. Let me expound on something. Every day I put 25 business cards in my truck or whatever vehicle I'm driving. I do not go home unless I hand out all 25. So 25 times 7 is what? 175?
It's something like that. But
something a week. So I'm a numbers man. When you say if I can help one. So if you talk to 25 people a day, just say hi. Just say hi. It's a law of attraction. Helping one will eventually spread out and help many. And that's the most important positive thing you can do. Giving back. I give. I'm a giver, but I'm also a taker, and I'm a thief of knowledge.
Okay.
Today, I try to pick this. When I'm listening on Sundays, he been trying to get me to church. I said, man, you ain't get me there. But I told Eric not long ago. I said, man. Loeb probably gonna preach big time when I walk up in there. I said, cause I'm coming. Okay. And I understand now all the hard knocks and things and how many times I've been knocked down as an adult that didn't happen to me when I was a kid, and all the times my brothers knocked me down. It made me who I am today. And you said something that was real important, a man of integrity. But the main thing I got from you was when you got to those places, you became coachable and teachable.
Yeah, yeah.
And once you can do that, once you throw yourself in and say, I'm willing to be coachable and teachable, man, the world's gonna open up something beautiful. And not only that, because of who we are and our ancestors, it gets even deeper when you get into that.
So can I take us down a little rabbit hole?
Let's go, bro.
So all of us, our initial conversations was talking about, why haven't we built generational wealth and why haven't we made some different decisions, right? I'm gonna challenge all of y'all and ask y'all this: what are y'all doing today to help with this generation that's coming behind us to make sure that they're making better decisions?
And that's exactly the same question, honestly, that I had. Because I want to now impact this generation now to let them know that you don't have to, take the 4-year college. There's nothing wrong with getting a 4-year degree. Don't get me wrong. And there's some professions that if that's what you choose to do, and you want to go on to do a 4-year profession, yeah, okay, that's fine. But you can go in and start your own business and go another route where you don't have to be working for somebody else and start your own business and work that way too. And there's things that you don't have to doing and battling each other and killing each other in the hood for $1, every day. Start your own business. I don't care if it's a landscaping business. Start your own business, make your own money. There's plenty of money out here. So I have the same question. How can we impact the neighborhoods that are basically tearing themselves apart for a nickel?
Yeah.
When they don't have to, because there's money out here to be made.
It is, but what has happened to us, especially in our community, we don't talk to each other. We don't socialize anymore. No. Right? Remember in the 70s, y'all? When
we knew our neighbors, first of all.
Our neighbors, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't matter what your last name was.
Right.
I can go over to the Barbie's house and eat. I could go over to y'all house and eat. You know what I'm saying? It didn't matter what your last name was because we socialized with one another. We actually cared. When we was getting ready to move, granted we wasn't moving nowhere but around the corner because we still stayed in the hood, right? But we would let people help us move. Mm-hmm. But once we started attaining and acquiring stuff is what has actually separated us, y'all. Right. Because we started, instead of moving in the daytime where everybody could help, we started moving at night so you can't see our stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so we got to find a way to get back to teaching principles, get back to teaching, ideologies that make sense for us in our communities. You know what I'm saying? Every community is important, but if you don't start at least at home, then I don't think we're making the maximum impact that we need to be making. And I'm going to just keep it a buck. I know I haven't done a great job. Now, granted, I'm teaching and I'm preaching, I'm doing all these things, but it used to be a time where I was actually extracting young people from the neighborhood to make sure I was helping to raise them up. And I've gotten away from that.
So I came across something the other day similar to this question. So I'm without saying any names or anything like that, I came across something where people donating a lot of money to a certain entity that they're supposed to be helping kids, and it's their anniversary, 12-year, 10-year, 11-year, whatever it is. And I said, that's fine and dandy, you got the money, but what are you doing with it?
Right.
Are you teaching the fundamental skills to help them carry on and go further? There's a lot of things in our way, and we know as men, black men, how we've had to weave our way through this system because the system is against us.
Right.
It ain't for us, and how we had to weave our way through this. But you're raising money to do these things, but what are you doing? You're lining your pockets. You're not giving it to these kids. And what you should give to them is the knowledge that you have and be able to share. And I say that to say this. my cousin, I went up to the barber shop yesterday, and I don't go to the barber anymore because, you know, he showed me what to do, and my brother's a barber, but I shaved my own head. And one of the young cats said, "Man, where you been, Coach T?" I said, he said, we miss you at the shop.
Right.
He said, you was dropping so much knowledge. And I was like, I need to go back up to the barbershop, even though I ain't get my hair cut. I need to go back. I finally went up there, and he saw me. He said, "Man, I'm glad you're here. What you got for me today?" I said, "You get your LLC yet?" I said, "It ain't but $100 right now. They got it on sale." He said, "Coach T, I'm doing my research and this, that, and the other." I said, "Okay, but you got to go these steps and do this." And that's the most important. Sharing of myself and saying, hey, if a young man don't have something, I'm willing to give him $100 to go get his LLC.
So it's funny you said that. So at the barbershop today, this morning, my barber was like, "Man, I'm getting ready to change shops because I want to get back to having a community, you know what I'm saying, barbershop environment." You know what I'm saying? He said, because I was in there maybe about 2 months ago, and this young brother, he's, y'all know I got a mortgage background, but he was starting to buy houses, and I was just dropping nuggets to him on what he has to do, LLCs, protecting himself, how to properly negotiate and have a banking relationship. And he said, "Man," he said, "the stuff you're teaching me, we usually have to pay for." But think about it, those entities where we would acquire knowledge, churches, barbershops, meetings, you know what I'm saying? We don't do, like I said, it goes back to what I said, we don't socialize anymore.
And that's a key point because culturally, now let's talk culturally. The Jewish people have that rite of passage for the 13-year-old Jewish boy, the bat mitzvah. The Latino people, my Hispanic brothers and sisters, have that rite of passage for the young lady. The quinceañera.
The quinceañera.
Excuse me if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but their children have that rite of passage to look forward to when they get a certain age. But we don't have that rite of passage. We never had that rite of passage. Man, we see blood, destruction, a lot of money, and a lot of drug and alcohol abuse in our community. Those are our rites of passages. That's what we look forward to as we get older. So we have to flip that into doing something to get these young men, 11, 12, 13, on a different road, moving forward. Because keep in mind that a lot of the young boys, 10, 11, 12, 13, are being raised by single women because their dad is either dead, on drugs, or in prison. So now we got to reach back. Brothers like us, we got to take a whole tribe of them, reach down, and guide them because they don't have any guidance.
I appreciate you saying that.
So let me say something. So I just started a nonprofit, and I've been trying to wrap my head around what I'm gonna do with it. I filed it, and I've been saying, so what am I going to say? I know I wanted to do something with it. So how about this? We talking about it now. How about we just structure something where we can start doing type of programming, to start doing having classes,
After school programs,
start teaching the very things that we talking about, forming LLCs, starting businesses,
a safe place to go, to relieve some stress.
So y'all remember, I had Safe Haven Saturdays. Remember, I had that wraparound at John Adams because I had to bury 4 gang members within the span of a month. And I asked the students, I say, "Where do y'all feel safe at?" They say, "Pastor Dwayne, the only place we feel safe is in this school. When we leave this school, we don't know what's going to happen." And y'all see just recently, within the last few months, 2 students of John Adams have been killed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, and it's been tugging at my heart. And that's why I'm struggling, because it's like I'm hitting a 30-year mark in corporate. I got way more years behind me than I got ahead of me.
Right.
Am I actually making maximum impact? Do I need to, some days I want to fold it up and be like, I need to get back out here and do my thing. But what does that look like though, really? And that's why a lot of us just can't close the doors on what you're doing. And it's not that I don't have the faith. I mean, trust me, I got all faith. But I also got to make sure I make good decisions, because when we make a bad decision, it don't just stop that day.
Right.
That can carry with us for a long time.
Long time. Who you telling? I'm still dealing with something. And it's hey, I had a question for you, Khalid, and not to put you on blast or anything. I got much respect for you, and I appreciate you coming. I want you to look in the camera, and I'm gonna ask you a question, and I want you to give your heart to these young brothers, man. As a man. As a black man, is it a rite of passage to go to the penitentiary?
Wow, that's deep.
As a young black man,
What would you say to those today about that?
we incarcerate more young black men than we send to college. That fact is already known.
Yes, sir.
That fact is already known. So if that seed is planted while I'm in junior high school and while I'm in high school, that if I don't succeed at this, well, I can look forward to going down to Mansfield. I can look forward to going to Lucasville. I can look forward to going down to Lorraine Penitentiary. I can look forward to that. And that's where all of my homies are going to be. That's where all my homies are going to be. My homies didn't go to college.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? That wasn't the thing to do. You know, they said, oh man, you going to college. You trying to be white.
Yeah.
So now it's ingrained in us that if we do go to college, then we're different. Or we're the outcasts. Oh, let me stand on the corner, sell some dope, and end up going to prison. Because see, 99.9% of us, we make our money on the corners in Cleveland. We spend our money with another race in the plazas in Cleveland, and then we take a ride to 71 on 71 South down to the penitentiary coming out of Cleveland. So coming out of the penitentiary, a lot of us only have a neighborhood or a statewide view of the world. I'm gonna repeat that. A neighborhood or a statewide view of the world. We ain't been nowhere but on the corner or to the penitentiary. So when we come out, we're lost. So we got to flip that script, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We got to take these young brothers under our wings and show them that there's a better way.
Yes,
We
sir.
have, it's a
Yes,
must.
sir.
And it's not too late.
It's not
No,
a rite of passage,
It's
young
not,
brothers.
it's
not a
not,
rite of
it's
passage.
not, it's
It's
not.
not. And that question came from my heart because it's been on my heart.
Yeah.
And I am blessed that you're here, brother, because I got some good vibes
That's
from
the
you.
fact of the
and,
matter.
and the
We don't-
connection is phenomenal.
Yeah,
And
that's what
But
we-
to get back on the subject, we're here for a short time. And we're not here for a long time, we're here for a good time. We can have a good time pouring something back into our community because I think about it all the time.
Yeah.
You know, am I doing enough?
Yeah.
You know, every year I sponsor a family or two during the holidays, and I'm like, why just doing a holiday, T? Put yourself in a position where you can do something for somebody else all the time. And I don't mean just handing somebody something or
Yeah.
doing something. Hey, you know, I used to give away as a trainer. I used to give away, have the families out there where I live at. Hey, you do this, I'll give you this price. If you and I'll take your 3 boys if you'll sponsor a kid in Cleveland to come up here and train with us.
Right,
and you know my training wasn't no joke.
Yeah, wasn't no
They leave me to, hey, you going to be a state champ. You going to college. And I put that in their head if that's what you want to do. But now my thing is, hey man, get a trade. We need trades back. And they took them out of the schools for one reason and one reason only. Because we were thriving at it.
Striving.
Yeah,
Let's
I
strip
was
'em.
mad about that.
Busing came along because the communities
He was
thriving.
thriving.
Exactly.
Y'all know out of John Adams was coming all your scholarships, sending guys to the college, to the NFL, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so busing helped to tear down. Remember, we all used to play football together.
yeah.
Then we got busing, had to go on the west side, and we lost all that. And so our culture got, minimized because
Now we
had
mix
to
it
fit
in
to
with
this
the
big-
other.
Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly,
Right,
exactly,
right,
exactly.
Well, we talk about that all the time, how they took 14 starters from John F. Kennedy, and that would have been the first time a Cleveland Public School team, I believe, would have made the state playoffs.
Yeah.
And not only been there, but made it to the Final Four. We was deep. We was 3 deep.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
I turn around and I say that to say this: we got to take back what belongs to us. And becoming a thief of knowledge is one, but also we got to give back to our ancestors and dig deep and go back deep and be able to share spiritual guidance that's second to none. Because once you get that connection, man, it's a beautiful thing. I'm telling you, I'm going through something right now, and I'm like, somebody checked me about what I was eating, and they was like, do you realize what you're doing is spiritual? And so I had to go into self. I had to go into self and actually start getting into that portion of it, and then I saw a difference. I looked in the mirror and said, hey, there you go.
And to get back to this whole rite of passage thing, I drove across 131st Street, and I remember the Boys and Girls Club that used to be there. But when I drove across Miles at 113th, 114th and Miles, it brought back so much nostalgia because the two of y'all brothers, remember, we used to go to the YMCA faithfully on a bus.
Yeah.
There was a bus that came to our elementary school and took us to this YMCA. But I remember, because we would be so pumped the day before. I'm talking about, man, we could get in the pool. We could play basketball. We could play ping pong. Or we could just be there in that environment of the school. And as I drive through the city of Cleveland, I don't see any of that. I don't see a place where the kids can go to release all of that energy. I mean, we went, man, we swam, we ran around the gym, we played, and man, by the time we got home, it was lights out. Now the children are caught up. Social media, video games, guns, drugs. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have any of that when we were coming up.
Really didn't.
We need to get back to that. So, man, if somebody dumped $100,000 on me today, I would open up something similar to a Boys and Girls Club where they could come. This elementary school would be there Monday. That elementary school would be there Tuesday, so on and so forth. Every elementary or middle school would have a day at my center, 5 days a week, and then everybody could come on Saturdays.
So the reason it's so hard as we get ready to close this episode is because we live in such a capitalistic society. Everybody's always looking to make a buck instead of making a change.
That's
so
for sure.
On that note, y'all, we're going to get ready to close this segment and put it on the table.
This was deep.
We're going to close this out and table this discussion. We thank you guys for tuning in. This is this was a powerful discussion. And we need to make a change from what things that's been going on. That's a unanimous discussion that we've been having here. And hopefully in the future you'll see us come together and we'll be able to give you guys some news about some things that we've been able to put together, and say that we came in and put an impact in the community, and we opened up a center, or we, impacted and said we taught some kids how to do this, or, hopefully that's coming in the future. I'm gonna say it's coming in the future. I ain't gonna say hopefully, it's coming in the future. I'm gonna say that. So I'm gonna thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed, I'm gonna say please subscribe to the channel, and till next time, I'm gonna say peace.
Peace.